it's right dead center. When they come down, they'll get a pretty good sized swath of fluid anyway. And if you just tip it out, you can pull the canister out when you have to replace it. If you have a smaller canister like this one's only 10 inches tall, or if you have anything even smaller, you can still put it in here. That's why I add the little extra unit here. Now you can see that's still quite a ways away, but that still gives you a nice squirt. Okay, assembly of this is fairly straightforward. I start with the end piece. I like to put all the words on the pipes down so that they're not in the way. Give them a little tap. Now, because I'm not gluing this together, you can straighten these out later because you can see these aren't straight. So, okay, words at the bottom. These are our 5-inch lengths. That, by the way, was our 16.5-inch length. Normally I do this on the ground, but I just want to show you what this is like. Okay, hold it straight up, give it a good tap. Rubber mallets are the best for these. You're not damaging the PVC as much that way. Okay, and you'll be able to straighten this out later. Okay, now 2 T's go in, one on either side. These will be your uprights. Carry the load. And then you can go ahead and put in your other 5-inch pieces. Words down, so that'll be the base sitting like that. Okay, and of course these will be straightened when we get done too. All right, into these bases go the 3-inch pieces, the T's. On the T's, go a 90-degree elbow to get your pipe work to go inside. This is basically a stability base to hold everything stable. And a tap, just a love tap. Another one there. Okay, those are your 3-inch risers. And these are just additional feet out here to make the same level, make it so it's not too tippy. I tip them out so that people know that that's the way they go in. Rather than putting them in, you might stumble on them. Okay, now we have our 1-inch or our 2-inch pieces. These two 2-inch pieces go in. And then the uprights. Now, you can start by putting these uprights. These basically will go in here and your tube will run inside that. So I'm going to turn the words to the inside, make it all fairly straight. That'll go like that. Now I will tap these on the ground, help to maintain those better. So these are your two 30-inch pieces. They will be the uprights. Now you can see these don't go in that far when you just set them, but when you tap them, they seat almost completely down. 2 inches will settle all the way into that. Okay, the base. Then what we're going to have is a 10.5-inch gap between the centers of these. And now it is 10.5 inches. At the top, we'll be setting 2 of these T's up there. So that's 2 T's up at the top of these is what I put on. I'm not putting those on permanently yet because we have to do some assembly before we do that. Okay, next step. You have a few versions of the cutters that you want for the PVC pipes. For the 1/2 inch, these work fine. It's got a stainless steel blade and it'll cut just fine like this. It's got a ratcheting device, so it makes it easier. It's easier if you put it on the ground and then push. But for the 1 inch tube, you need something more like this Irwin. This is about $22 at Lowe's. Okay, this one, seeing as you'll be stepping on this, it'll be down like that. I put the words at the bottom. Just helps make it a little prettier. You can also paint these if you want. Okay, now we should have about 10.5 inch, 10 3/4. So we can always shave a little off of that if it's too tight. Okay, we put the bars in, the 2 uprights, the 2 42-inch pieces. And I just set it on the ground. You can see how uneven this is here. Tap it in fairly nice. And then you can straighten them right. Okay, now I'm going to move you a little bit. Okay, so here's the base that we put together. We slide these 2 up into there. And remember, none of this is glued in tight. So now, it's not too bad. We put bungees on the back. It assists it back to the upright position again. Gather a couple more pieces here. All right, the piece that goes across the top is actually a 1/2 inch T with a threaded portion in the center. This way you've got an adjustment. If your bottle's just a little low, you can unscrew it a little. If it's a little tight, you can screw it in. If your bottle comes all the way to the top, which the 12-inch bottles will, then you don't need anything. If you have only a 10-inch bottle, then you can put a short stub in here and reach it that way. So here we have the T. Keep in mind, if the kids are a little rough on this, you might have to tighten these back up. I like that. Goes down pretty easily. The bungees will bring it back up. All right, now I am using a metal screw. They're number 10s. I'm using 3/4 inches down here in the elbow. I'm using 1/2 inch number 10s in the upper area because you have a pipe going through here. You don't want that pipe to be grabbed by the screw, come loose. So I put 2 holes in the base, right in the elbows, right in the bend of the elbows. Okay, that one is complete, other than the bucket. Our next step is we're going to put the bucket in here. So we have the bucket that will be holding the bottle of hand sanitizer. Now I picked these up at Lowe's also. These are about $2.60 each plus tax. I'm going to cut holes in the sides here. If you can see this, there is a notch right here. So there's a notch here, a notch here, and that gives me an exact measurement of where to put my supports, because this will be dangling in between our 2 uprights on the base portion. Okay, now, and cut out as close as I can to the circle without cutting a finger off, or without. A 1-inch, there's actually two of them, a 1-inch reducer is what they call these. It slides into the 1-inch T at the top of the base unit. But this is a 3/4 inch plug because the reducer goes from 1 inch down to 3/4 of an inch. So basically that just screws in like that, and then we actually will glue this portion into this later. Right now we take that through the hole we cut, push it in nicely. You can hear that it sounds nice and tight. Now we'll tighten this down in a bit. Actually, that one went down pretty far. Okay, remember, we're back to this other section. We'll cut right here. We'll put our 19 mil socket in there, go around. You can always slip, you can always have a problem. And then that's the second set of reducer and plug. Put the plug in. If it won't go in that easily, once you get it started, you can actually screw it in, because that's the idea of this whole thing. You want it snug. You don't want it too loose. Okay, and we'll screw that on. The last portion I do on this is I will be putting these in between here. So, to get space there, just pull this off. Actually, you only have to pull it off of one, just so you can bring these apart enough. And then we'll be putting these in like so. The glue, I use just a clear glue so it doesn't leave a mess. Now when you put this on, and you put it in here, you want to do both halves. You don't want to just do one, but put it in and sink it right up to the edge, and then wipe off the excess. All right. And we do the same thing on the other side. We set that, and then we put a little bit inside. Always close up your lid, that stuff stinks to high heck. Okay, and that one is set. Just to make sure that stays in there well, we tap it a little. Okay, hands free. Let's see, this is a 12-inch jar, and that's a little high. It's right dead center. When they come down, they'll get a pretty good sized swath of fluid anyway. And if you just tip it out, you can pull the canister out when you have to replace them. Welcome, friend, to our house. Please try our hands-free hand sanitizer before you come in.
It got a little too much.
That's okay. Too much is better than not enough.